Today we're going to go over the review worksheet 2.3, 2.4. So it's video 1. And we're going to start with problem number 1. And just see how far we get in this first video. I think it might take more than one video. Now, the first part of this worksheet is you have to remember that you're adding and subtracting polynomials. And whenever you add and subtract polynomials, you're definitely going to be looking at the sign before the parentheses. So I'm going to look for a plus sign or a minus sign. And whenever I see the parentheses that directly follow those, that tells me to do something. So if I see a plus sign, I don't change anything. If I see a minus sign, I change all the signs. And then after I do all that, I add up my like terms. So number 1, we have 3x squared minus 5 plus 7x squared minus 3. The first thing I do is I look for the signs between the parentheses. There's a plus sign. That means I don't change anything. So I leave 7x squared minus 3 exactly the way it was. I just basically erase the parentheses. Now I look in front of the 3x squared. There's nothing there, which is basically the same as the plus sign. So all I do is I write 3x squared minus 5. Right. Now I just combine my like terms. X squared can be combined with x squared. So 3 and 7 is 10. That's why it's 10x squared. Notice I did not change the exponent. It stays 10x squared. Minus 5 minus 3. Together that's minus 8. And that's my final answer. Number 2, very similar concept. The only difference now is that I have a minus sign in between the parentheses. So that minus tells me to change everything in the second set of parentheses, change all the signs. One of the common mistakes I see is somebody forgets that they think the minus is already with the 4. It's not, so it does have to be changed to minus 4y squared. It becomes plus 5y minus 3. First set of parentheses, there's nothing there, so those all stay the same. 4y squared plus 9y minus 5. Now I focus. 4y squared and negative 4y squared, that's just 0. I'm not even going to write anything. 9y and 5y together, that's 14y. I like to cross everything off after I use it, just so I don't accidentally use it a second or third time, or at the end I can always look and see that I don't have anything left. Minus 5 and minus 3. That's minus 8. Now, because I crossed everything off, I can just do a quick double check to make sure that there's nothing left. There isn't, so that's my final answer, 14y minus 8. 3, very similar concept. Once again, I see the plus sign in between. That tells me to just write everything exactly the same on the right side. And the left side, there's nothing in front of that parentheses, so those two are the same. Now I just combine terms. 3s squared and 4s squared is 7s squared. Cross them off. Then I have a 5s, so it's minus 5s. Cross it off. 3 and 3 together is 6. That's my final answer. Four, just like number 3, there's a plus sign in the middle right there. So this becomes 2c cubed minus 6c plus 8. The first set of parentheses doesn't change. So it becomes 5c squared plus 7c plus 1. I combine like terms. Me personally, I always look for the highest exponent first. That's why I start with 2c cubed. There are no other cubes, so it just becomes 2c cubed. Then I look at 5c squared. There are no other c squared, so I just leave that. 7c minus 6c, that's just 1c. And then 1 and 8 is 9. There's my final answer. Moving on. Alright. 5 is just like number 2, so I see the minus sign in front. It tells me to change all those signs. So it becomes minus 9b cubed plus 4b to the 4th minus 7. And then the first parenthesis just stays exactly the way it is. 5b minus 6b cubed plus 2b to the 4th. I see that 4 is my highest exponent, so I start with that. 2b to the 4th plus 4b to the 4th is 6b to the 4th. Cross them off just so I don't accidentally use them again. Now I see minus 6b cubed and then minus 9b cubed. That's minus 15b cubed. Cross them off. There are no b squareds, so I move right on to b to the first power, so I have plus 5b. cross it off, and then minus 7. And that's my final answer. Alright, number 6. Once again, there's a plus sign in front of the parentheses, so the parentheses just disappear. There's nothing in front of the first set of parentheses, so those just disappear. And now we just begin adding up like terms. X to the 4th and x to the 4th. That's just 2x to the 4th. Cross off the x to the 4th so I don't use them again. I have 1 minus x cubed, so it just stays minus x cubed. Cross it off. X squared and negative x squared, those cancel. I'm left with plus x plus 1. And that's my final answer. Now, before we go on to number 7, we got to talk about multiplying polynomials, because that's what we're going to do in number 7. Step 1 is you can only multiply 2 at a time. The example we talked about in class is if I told you to multiply 3 times 4 times 5 in your head without a calculator, you would either do 3 times 4 first to get 12 and then multiply by 5, or you could do 4 times 5 first to get 20 and multiply it by 3. If you really wanted to, you could also do 3 times 5 to get 15 times 4. All of those will give you 60. So that's just saying pick 2 at a time. And the other thing is the distributive property. Distributive property just basically means everything in one set of parentheses has to be multiplied by everything in the other set of parentheses. Alright, moving on to 7. 7 is a very simple one. You just say this one goes to this one, this one goes to this one. Now before, when you add like terms, the exponents don't change. When you multiply, multiplying changes your exponents of variables. For example, 5x squared times 6x, 5 times 6 is 30, but I have x squared times x, that gives me x cubed. Notice the exponent changed, versus when addition, the exponents never changed. 5x squared times 2 is plus 10x squared. That's my final answer. Okay, moving on. Alright, number 8. It's going to be real simple. You can either think of FOIL or distributive property. Let's think of it this way. 3z goes to 3z to give me 9z squared. Then 3z also goes to negative 1 to give me minus 3z. 1 goes to 3z to give me plus 3z. 1 goes to negative 1 to give me minus 1. Now I combine my like terms. Those cancel. I'm left with 9z squared minus 1. Moving on. Alright, number 9. We're going to do the exact same thing, but now 2a is going to go to everything. So 2a goes to everything. 2a times a squared is 2a cubed. 2a times negative 10a is minus 20a squared. 2a times negative 2 is minus 4a. Now negative 3 is going to go to everything. Negative 3 times a squared is minus 3a squared. Minus 3 times 10a is plus 30a. Minus 3 times minus 2 is plus 6. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. That's why I line everything up vertically, because then all the terms my like terms are lined up for me. 2a cubed, there's nothing to add with, so it just stays 2a cubed. Minus 23a squared plus 26a plus 6. And that's our final answer. Alrighty, number 10. We're going to do the exact same concept we just did. Now it's just going to happen, we're going to distribute 3 times. So I'm going to take negative x squared to x squared to give me minus x to the 4th. Minus x squared to minus 8x gives me plus 8x cubed. Minus x squared to 3 is minus 3x x squared. Now 4x is going to go to everything. So 4x goes to negative 8. Or I mean 4x goes to x squared. It's going to be 4x cubed. 4x then goes to minus 8x to give me minus 32x squared. And 4x then goes to 3 to give me plus 12x. Then 1 goes to everything as well. 1 goes to x squared. 1 goes to minus 8x. And then 1 goes to 3. Notice once again, I line everything up for me. That's how I do it vertically. And then I just combine my terms. Minus x to the 4th. 8 and 4 is 12. Notice when I'm adding, the exponents don't change. When I multiply, they do. Minus 3 and minus 32 is minus 35. Plus 1 is minus 34x squared. Plus 4x plus 3. And there's my final answer. Alright, 11 is just like number 10, so it's the exact same concept we just did. So 3 goes to 4. Give me 12y to the 4th. 3y squared goes to minus 11y to give me minus 33y cubed. 3y then goes to 3 to give me plus 9y squared. Now 6y goes to everything. 6y goes to 4y squared to give me 24y cubed. 6y goes to minus 11y to give me minus 66y squared. 6y goes to 3 to give me plus 18y. Combine my like terms. That gives me 12y to the 4th plus 9y cubed. 9 and negative 66 is minus 57y squared plus 18y. And that's our final answer. Alright, 12. 12 says multiply 3 binomials together. The first thing I have to do is I have to pick 2 first. So I multiply those two. I say x goes to x, get x squared. X goes to negative 7 to give me minus 7x. 1 goes to x, give me plus x. And 1 goes to negative 7 to give me negative 7. That turns into x squared minus 6x minus 7. I didn't do anything with x minus 3, that's why it drops down. And now I just take everything in the first set of parentheses. X goes to everything, gives me x cubed minus 6x squared minus 7x. Negative 3 goes to everything, so I get minus 3x squared plus 18x plus 21. Gives me my final answer to be x cubed minus 9x squared plus 11x plus 21. Moving on. Alright, 13 is the exact same concept as before, so I'm going to pick 2 first. I'm just going to do the first 2. You could do any 2 you wanted. I'll start with the first 2. A and 2a is 2a cubed. A then plus 5 is plus 5a. I messed up, it should be 2a squared there. I don't know why I went crazy. Negative 6 and 2a is minus 12a. Minus 6 and 5 is minus 30. Combine like terms, so I end up with 2a squared minus 7a minus 30. And I'm multiplying that by a plus 1. A goes to everything. Gives me 2a cubed minus 7a squared minus 30a. Then 1 goes to everything, so I get 2a squared minus 7a minus 30. Gives me my final answer to be 2a cubed minus 5a squared minus 37a minus 30. And that's your final answer. Alrighty, 14, exact same type of problem, I'm going to pick the last two to do first. So I do the last two first. I get minus 9 in q to get minus 9q squared, and minus 9 and negative 2 to give me plus 18q. To the inside, 2 and q to give me plus 2q, and the last two to give me minus 4. I end up with minus 9q squared plus 20q minus 4. Now once again, I didn't do anything with the first one because I just picked the last two to start. I was just showing that it doesn't matter which ones you pick first. So then I'm going to take 3q is going to go to every single thing. So 3 times negative 9 is minus 27q cubed. 3 goes to 20. I get 60q squared. Then 3q goes to minus 4 to give me minus 12q. Now I'm going to just take everything. Negative 8 is going to go to everything. So negative 8 times negative 9 is plus 72q squared. Negative 8 goes to 20, give me minus 160q. Negative 8 goes to negative 4, give me plus 32. Means my final answer is going to be minus 27q cubed plus 132q squared minus 172q plus 32. And that's my final answer. Moving on to 15. Alright, 15, exactly just like the last three. Just start with the second two. 4w times minus 3 is minus 12w squared. 4w and then 5 is plus 20w. Minus 1 minus 3, that's plus 3w. Minus 1 and 5, that's minus 5. Gives me my second and third parentheses turn into just minus 12w squared plus 23w minus 5. Once again, I don't do anything with w minus 6, so I'll bring it down here. Now the w goes to everything, so that turns into minus 12w cubed plus 23w squared minus 5w. Now minus 6 go to everything. Minus 6 and minus 12w squared is plus 72w squared. Minus 6 and plus 23 is, well, minus 6 and 20 is negative 120, so plus negative 18, so it's minus 138w. Minus 6 and minus 5 is plus 30. Combine my terms, I end up with minus 12w cubed plus 95w squared minus 143w plus 30. That's our final answer. You can write it as w minus 9 squared. Now remember, that just means you have to write it twice and use the distributive property. So w times w is w squared. W times negative 9 is minus 9w. Minus 9w is minus 9w. Minus 9 and minus 9 is plus 81. Together we end up with w squared minus 18w plus 81. That's your final answer. Alrighty, 17. Same exact problem as 16. I'm going to write it. 2c plus 5. 2c plus 5. I'm going to use the distributive property. 2c times 2c is 4c squared. 2c times 5 is 10c plus 10c plus 25. Together I get 4c squared plus 20c plus 25. And that is 17. Alrighty, 3t minus 4 cubed, that's number 18. But most people are going to do it this way, where they're going to take that 3t minus 4 and they're going to write it 3 times, I mean. Because that's what the little cube means. And then you're going to pick 2 to multiply, so you FOIL those 2 or distribute them end up with 9t squared minus 12t minus 12t plus 16, which this turns into 9t squared minus 24t plus 16, and then I multiply 3t minus 4. Again, 9t squared and 3t squared is 27t squared. 9t squared and minus 4 is minus 36t squared. Negative 24 and 3 is minus 72t squared. Negative 24 and 4 is plus 96t. 16 and 3 is 48t, and 16 and minus 4 is minus 64, which makes your final answer 27. You combine all the t squareds, so you have minus 36 and minus 72 is minus 108, plus 27. So you end up with minus 81t squared positive 96 and positive 48 is plus 144t, and then minus 96. And that's it for 18. Is the same type of problem, but I'm actually going to use Pascal's triangle because I just think it's a little bit easier. Or that's where we have the 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, and a 1, 3, 3, 1. So we're going to use that because it's the third power. So it means we're going to use a cubed plus 3a squared b plus 3ab squared plus b cubed, where y is a and b is 4. So I plug in y, I get y cubed plus 3 times 4 squared. Y squared times 4 plus 3 times y times 4 squared plus 4 cubed. So my final answer is y cubed plus 12y squared plus 48y, because 4 squared is 16. 16 times 3 is 48 plus 64. I think it's a little bit easier than multiplying them all out, especially if I were to make that something to the 4th or 5th power. That finishes 19. Alright, for this next half of the worksheet, we're going to be using this factoring GPS from the board. That means, remember we called it GPS, because whenever you get lost, you just look up here. You always start at the top, and then you work your way down. Start for looking at something in common, and you count your terms, and then you start using these methods. Alright, remember if it says solve, you follow, these are the methods for solving. Okay? Alright, 20, we have 14x squared minus 21x. Once again, I'm going to look for something in common. It's really easy to see the letter, so I'm saying there's something in common. If you're using the chart, they both have a letter in common, so I take out that common x. And then if I wanted to find out what goes into 14, I couldn't immediately see with 7. I say 1 and 14, 2 and 7. To get 121, or to get 21, you have 1 and 21. 3 and 7, I know 7 is the biggest number of both lists. Alright, remember, distributive property is the opposite, or factoring is the opposite of the distributive property. So distributive property tells us to multiply. To factor, we have to divide. So I say 14x squared all over 7x. That gives me 14 divided by 7 is 2. X squared over x is x. 14 over 7 is 2. I have two x's, I took one out, that's why I have one x. Minus 21 divided by 7 is minus 3. I took the x out, so this is my final answer. 7x times the quantity, 2x minus 3. Alright, 21. We have c cubed plus 9c squared plus 18c. Once again, I start with something in common. All I see is that they all share a c, so I take that c out. Now it looks like something we did last year where there's three terms, and we're just going to use our trinomial method, which says you factor the first, you factor the last, and then you check using FOIL. So how do I get c squared? C and c. How do I get 18? 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6. Luckily 3 and 6 added to be 9. I'm allowed to take that shortcut because those are 1s. So my final answer is c, c plus 3, c plus 6. If you wanted to check using FOIL and not the shortcut, you just guess and do the outside. C times 6 is 6c. The inside, 3 times c is 3c. Together, that's 9c, which is what we wanted. Alright, 22. We have 3y to the 5th minus 48y cubed. I'm going to first look for something in common. I notice they both have 3 y's. Also, 3 goes into 48, so I say they have a 3 in common, which gives me y squared minus 16. Once I've done with something in common, I look at the terms. There's two terms inside the parentheses, and they are perfect squares. There's also a subtraction sign in the middle, which means I get to use this formula, a squared minus b squared equals a minus b, a plus b. So this breaks down into y and y, 4 and negative 4. So my final answer is actually 3y cubed, y minus 4, y plus 4. And that's it.